Foundations of dance. First of all, some kind of visibility is needed, so can we request please come forward? Because anyway, the first day thing is over, so we are a little informal with each other. Please occupy the front seats because it's only about discussion. Initial stages are discussion. When you occupy this front seat, it's very, I think, practically annoying to talk empty seats. That really one will understand. So, okay, having said that, even before going to today's session, we come to that some of you have some questions and some comments, but some of them already have responded to some questions. So, we can start with some and later we can move to today's session. If any questions can be started, round of questions, we can start. It's a kind of a warm-up, it's a kind of a recap. So, any questions, please? There is nothing to feel, am I going to phrase it well, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. Any questions, a genuine question, provided the intent is clear. So, yes. Samajik. We'll write down the questions and can we address one after the other. Samaj. What? Yeah. The cycle of Kalpa. Second question. You have a question.
How Devas and the Asuras are, their relation with Brahma is the same. But then they pose to question why it is, why the bias towards Devas.
How was it resolved?
Yes.
The question is Devas and Asuras are the same. But the Devas felt, so the Asuras felt that it is so biased towards Devas. How was this bias was resolved? That point had to be clarified, I think. Third is any other question? Fine. In case you have, yes.
Two stories, the introduction and the Natya Shastra, and then we were figuring out how the painting is related in both the stories, so that could be talked about as well.
The question is?
The question is exactly how are the stories related in terms of the painting, how does both the stories?
How is anything else?
Dharma and capitalism is the relation.
Is there a relationship between Dharma and Natya? Right? Dharma and Natya. Is there any other question?
So, Samajik is a term, as yesterday I said, used in astronomy and in Natya Shastra. It's only recently being used for society as a translation of English term for society. It's very recent. In astronomy, it is used when we look into the sky, the planets, grahas, sun, moon, and the planets, they keep shifting their position in the sun, in the sky, vis-a-vis stars. So a question is formulated in astronomy when will all these grahas be in one line of sight in the past and in future? When will they be in one line of sight near each other? Because they have different motions, at different rate they are going around in the sky. When will they be in one? That is Samaj. Samaj is used when they are in one line of sight. And Aryabhat, for instance, calculated when they will be past in one line of sight and in future. And this figure is a magical figure. People know 43200000000. This is the figure which comes out in Aryabhat's calculation. In fact, he starts his Aryabhatiam by saying when this conjunction occurred in the past. From that time to when he was born, how many years, solar years have passed, how many more lunar months have passed, and how many days have passed, and how many prahars have passed when he was born. So he starts with that thing. So this is Samaj, is used in that sense. In Bharat Muni is also using the term Samaj and later on. But that is for Rasikas and for people who are watching the drama, not. So people who are watching are called Samajic. In a sense, in modern times, people are Rasiks, etc., they are Samajic. And etymologically, it may mean from Aj, Dhatu, rising together, falling together. So it's a situation when there is immersion. Immersion has happened. Everybody is sort of watching drama or dance drama or whatever show is going on. So all of them are like in a neutral state, independent of their egos and their psychology, and they rise up and fall together. So that's why these are Samajik. They have a lot in common. So the effect is being created on them by what's happening on the stage, and everybody is undergoing the same effect.
Sampradaya.
Huh?
Sampradaya.
Sampradaya. All these Sampradayas are Samajik. So that is the first use of the term Samaj in the literature. And now this Aryabhatiya, when all the planets were in one's line of sight and next line of sight, this period is called Manvantara. This period, and it is divided in parts, 4 parts Satyug, 3 parts Treta, Dwapar 2 parts, 1 part Kalyug. So Aryabhat says when the Kalyug began, after that so many years have passed when he was born, etc. So this is also called Kalp. Kalp term is also used for astronomical and cosmological way. For the reality is Kalp. And this, when we are born into the world, we are born into Kalp. And so interestingly, the bhog of Atman in this Kalp, etc., is sectional only. Some section of reality is what we interact with. And when we do interact with section of reality, like when I'm my vision, I only see these things. I don't see things far away. Television, you can see something far away, but we see something, we don't see something else. So we have some selectivity in apprehending the Kalp. And this selectivity involves our cognition, etc. And these cognitions are called vikalp. Because different people have different cognitions all the time. All of us are having cognition, but they are all different. In the same kalp, everybody is having a cognition, which is the vikalp, it's called, in the sense of vishisht kalp, etc. And then we also have Sukh, Ichha, Dvesh, etc. On that, and that leads to activity of mental activity, which can be classed as called as kalpana. This schema is used more in the beginning in the Buddhist tradition, but also in the missionary tradition. There, this is used. So these terms, kalpana is what we call as imagination today, something close to it. And in kalpana, there is further removal from reality. In vikalp, there is certain selectivity which comes in. Vikalp is also term for alternatives. In Hindi, for instance, vikalp would be alternatives. Different people are having different cognitions about the same reality. And then on top of that, there is certain imagination which runs and which can be called kalpana. When we do imaginations, at that time, certain decisions, etc. get made. Decisions to act, which is called sankalp. You put together various sort of aspects of what has to be created. That is sankalp. And kalpana is creation, this creation, kainat, reality. And sankalp is my determination or anybody's determination to create some reality, to do, to make an artifact, to turn it, use motor organs and make it real, make it material. Whatever kalpana one has, to give it a material body, a new body, kind of thing. So that sankalp is there, determination is there, and that leads to again kalp. So that's how the cycle goes on. This cycle is described almost by every school of thought in different ways. Shaivas would do it differently, Adishayas would do, Pashupatya would do it differently, Abhinav would do it differently, Tirdarshan will do it differently, and other schools like Vaisheshik Nyaya, they will look at it differently, Samkhya people look at it differently, or Vishishadvaita people look at it differently. This cycle is there, but the way one analyzes this cycle is with various philosophical approaches would tend to look at it differently. But mentioning it here was in the sense of kalpa and kalpana is very relevant for art, because artist people are deal with removal from reality. The imagination takes you away from what the reality is, and portion of that imagination you hardwire into reality. So then one can, others can engage with that reality. So like anywhere, it is difficult to find a portion of reality which does not have a human signature. If you look at wall, or if you any in this room, whatever is there, material formations which are there, can we find a formation in which there is no human signature? Human signature means that some kalpana of somebody is involved, of masons, of people who build this thing, and people who bought curtains and put all the contraptions together, and people who arranged ACs and glasses, etc. or chairs, tables, water. Everywhere there is a kalpana involved, somebody's. And various recalps are involved, possibly this or that possibilities. So this reality is already overburdened by human signature, imagination. There is no portion of reality where you can't see somebody's imagination attacked. It's very difficult to find out what is that reality where there is no human touch or human imagination. So this cycle is a very robust, and what we call as reality is full of human effort. Now, it's not that those atoms of those metals are made by human. There is also, you born into the color, this color. And there is a little story of the color, maybe it's a digression that we tell, that is from Indra had, there was one Danav, Vritrasura, who had drunk all liquids from the universe, all the rasas, etc. People kept telling him, please don't do that, what will you do, how will you do, please don't do it. But he didn't listen and he just drank. And there was a trahi in the universe, everybody, all the life forms were threatened. And then nobody could convince him, please don't do that. And he kept doing this. So Indra eventually, using his he was able to kill, cut open the stomach of this snake kind of Vritrasura. And all the liquids, all the rasas again sort of went into the gulf or came into the world, and everybody was happy. And this happiness was so, and people were grateful for having done this, made possible this living. And it was a great deal. So people went to him and said, we must commemorate this occasion. Why don't we build a monument? You have done such a great thing for life. Why don't we build a monument? And the monument, then he said, no, we don't need to build a monument. These things is my duty. I do these things. So it's not. But anyway, all the people were behind him. He said, no, he must make a monument. So he said, okay, call Vishwakarma and make some. See what Vishwakarma is. So Vishwakarma was called, and Vishwakarma said, no, it's a great occasion, and I would be glad to make a movement. Then he makes, after some time, Vishwakarma goes to the assembly and says, okay, why don't you come and have a look? He made, a magnificent kind of palace made out of galaxies, not bricks, galaxies, etc. Anyway, and sort of everybody who went, all these Tavvas and everybody, they were aghast. What is this? This is too big a monument, and everybody was very happy. But then somebody suggested, there is one place where you could stand and see the entire Kainat, entire reality. So somebody suggested that there should be also not just Diwan Khas, there should be Diwan Aam also. People, I guess, can also see this. So session came, then Vishwakarma said, okay, I'll do that. Next time he goes again, so why do you have a look at what I've done? So everybody goes there and sees, then somebody says, oh, if there was an ocean right here, or something, it would have been better. So Vishwakarma said that, okay, I'll do it. And next time he goes, but he's tired. He goes to Brahma and says, look, Vishnu this time. He goes to Vishnu and says, somebody must tell Indra that there is a difference between what you can think and imagine and what you can do. Every time something comes to head of people and I have to do this, so they should stop this kind of things. So Vishnu understands this and goes to, becomes a child and goes to the Darbar of him. And he says, child says, I've heard that you are building a monument for doing this thing with us. So chiding, he just says, what do you know about all these matters? You're a small child. What do you know? Who told you about this? He said, look, and he had theoretically, a lot of ants also came. It's a photograph kind of thing. So ants also came in that Tavva. And so he said, I don't, not only that in this Srishti, in this cult, the Indra of this cult did what great deed. Even the cult before this one, what great deed which Indra did. And a cult before that for another cult in the past. I know what kind of great deeds those Indras did, each of them. Not only that, alongside cult, there are so many cults out there. Each of these ants have a cult in their head. And they also have Indra there. And what great deed did the Indra of that ant cult did alongside? I know that also. So then he understood that the ego of Indra is known too big by this deed. And there are so many cults, so many great Indras, each of them. And each of them imagine that they have done great things, great dances they have done. They have done whatever, they imagine such things. So this I just told because of a very interesting use of term cult here. And all of us have our own realities. And we also do great things in that, nobody is equal to us. People even say, especially for South Indian people, for Hindu, if there is one Hindu, that person is no less than Brahman. In the sense you are equal to everything. If you are left alone to yourself. If you are two, what you can do is to get married or something. There is no other way of being together. And if you are three, then all opinions in the world are present among the three people. Everything is all world, all opinions, all knowledge is right there. If you are four, then something nefarious is brewing. Chandal Chapri. Something like nefarious is brewing. If you are five, then sense will prevail. The Pancha, Parmeshwar. If you are five, then sense may prevail among you may reflect on things and otherwise. So it's like that. At that level, one can think of Srishti, that everybody is whole cult in oneself. And there are many manantras, there are many kind of things. Now, the issue of objection of Nanas, that why is it looks that Natya is biased towards good and thus biased towards Devtas? And that is a very tough question. The answer to this was at this level we can say is just that the Shastric worry in Natya Shastra is that why was the Sadharnikaran broken? among the Daityas? That is the main question. Because it wasn't engrossing enough to create immersion of Daityas. They felt offended. So, Natya Dharma is such that one should create Natya so that everybody has immersion, sarvarnik immersion. Everybody should have immersion. So that one is significant. So if it is broken of section of people feel offended or something, then it's a fault of the creator or recreator of that drama. So drama, the person who is constructing a drama, etc., should sort of take care. It's a burden on a person that nobody, the immersion of nobody should be broken. Or minimally it should be broken. So, and then I just mentioned yesterday that in the realm of imagination, when we different from the realm of imagination, when I am perceiving something, say visually, the truth of my visual perception is decided by the objects which are there. Whether this I see as a bottle or I see this as a cat. It could be illusion that I see this as a cat. I can verify this by touching it, by seeing the behavior of it. The objects over-determines the truth of my cognition. But when you are imagining, what determines the truth of my imagination? Because in visual cognition, objects will over-determine whether it's illusion or whether it is right. When you are imagining, what determines? This is a big question. And it is the audience who determines. So if the immersion of audience is broken, your work of art is not good. And once the immersion is there, the judgment is occurring in the heads of the audience all the time. And in fact, in a very micro way, yesterday I was telling somebody after the lecture that if you take fMRI of a person who is watching a movie, there is a massive activity going on compared to if you take, say when that person is dancing, fMRI, not that much activity is happening in the head. Or if the person is studying or things like that. But when you're watching a movie, because all the time those pixels, lifeless pixels and sound bites are there, and everything you are imagining. The audience is imagining everything in that movie. And all kind of judgments, you're making judgments at the rate of 1,000 per second. Massive, and then feeling, getting affected, and, all kind of feelings are going on, responding to what is happening there. It's a massive activity. So this, that acquisition of art for the audience is actually one of the biggest, samajik, is the center of art, all art, because of this high activity of samajik. And they decide on the truth of things in imagination. And the creator who is imagining has a surrogate audience in mind all the time. When I am writing a play or composing certain movements, etc., I have the surrogate audience in mind. Because surrogate audiences, I can behave like I am also an audience, apart from being a creator of that poem or that movement sequence, etc. I'm also an audience. So there is Sakshipal, to be able to watch yourself. Audience is a Sakshipal. So, and the actor is a doer. Actor means creator. Artist is doing something. But the one who is watching it is audience, and the actor while doing watches himself or herself. So the audience is there all the time, and maybe more will clarify with this. This is a tough. Then there was an issue of dharma, and one of the basic question for the art and asked in Natya Shastra, in the first chapter, is that everybody anyway is living in accordance with one's own dharmas, or from morning to evening. One is living one's own dharma. How is it possible that I put them aside and adopt somebody else's dharma? So I may act like a queen. But my dharma is not like queen. But I can adopt dharmas of queen, or I can adopt dharmas of a beggar. Anybody. So, but what gives me that? Because I am, as a genuine person, as an authentic person, should be living my own dharmas. How could I just take dharma of somebody else? So that is why Bharat had 100 sons. These 100 sons were people who could take up dharmas of others. I call it them surrogate here. Because I believe that dharma is a term which requires dharmi. Some entity which has that term is a dharmi. So this is little technical. Maybe Rajesh would explain this later. Dharma are they occur in our life. For instance, fire has a dharma of burning. Fire will burn. If you fire, please stay away from it because the dharma is to burn. But this burning has occurred in my head. In my head, this dharma has actually occurred in my cognition. But it is burning is not a dharma of myself. It is myself is a placeholder for fire, whose dharma is burning, and it is not my dharma. But it is occurred in my head as a dharma. I am a dharmi of knowledge, cognition that fire burns. I am dharmi of dharma for burning. But this dharma is not my dharma, it's a dharma of fire. So we have something called all dharmas occur to us as upadhis. This term surrogate is somewhat translation of upadhis. And I believe that we don't have, nobody has one's own dharmas. We know our dharmas by looking at others, what they think is our dharma. In a sense, all dharmas are upadhic to begin with, and others say this is your dharma, or Itihas says this is your dharma. If you are a friend, billions of friends have created certain behavioral patterns in the past involving various dharmas of friendship. And in accordance with those dharmas which I have heard, I also behave accordingly. So I also adopt a dharma. So I do something like let me use this word because I'm going to use this. It's slightly forceful in using it. I am doing a swang of a dharma. Swang is I make up, etc. Swang is I may dress up in some way, make up, etc. So I put sometimes I'm a friend, sometimes I'm a husband, sometimes I'm a teacher, sometimes I'm this. All kind of dharmas are there. I put up these roles. And they are authentic to me. But this Nata also is putting up roles. Sometimes Raja, sometimes Ram. He's also putting up roles. And these roles are we can't say this is somewhat controversial, except for Vaishnavas and some section of Shaivas who think that all the time we are putting up roles. That in the end we don't have an irreducible dharma of our own. We just adopt this set of dharma, that set of dharma, and life is like this. But there's a distinction between being authentic and being inauthentic, being a cheater and being an honest person. All these distinctions are there, even in that. But this is one big issue, which I'll just connect this now to something very serious. Whether you can have a being, a person, who can adopt all kind of roles. And one's own character is one is to hide. A good actor is that who hides one's own character completely and adopts the role most generally. So, what would be a dharma of such actor? That such actor's own life would be rakas. Imagine like Bollywood, Tollywood actors, etc. So, what will happen to this person? There is a thinking that this role switching, and one of the most fundamental role switching is between femininity and masculinity, a man and a woman. That is most difficult swang. A man behaving like a woman, and a woman behaving like a man, because men and women are seen as, Natya Shastra talks about Kaushiki Vritti, and which is different from other, Vachik, Kaik and Mansik Vrittis which are there. Kaushiki Vritti, it is a separate one from that. It is woman. So which Natas couldn't do, that's why Apsaras were there. Or Srishti Apsaras happened because Nats could not do. They were men, sons. So daughters had to be given. And so one of the things among Vaishnavas, especially Chaitanya, and is to see role switch between men and women. And probably the most difficult medieval problem of dance in Western tradition was, what does it mean to dance by continuously changing the role of, sometimes the dancer looks like a man, sometimes like a woman. It's like Radha Krishna. you keep switching roles there. This is a very difficult dance problem and raised by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or the way Meera Bai should have danced. She would dance like ISKCON people. And but she was doing something like this, where one doesn't know, sometime a woman, sometime a man, sometime Radha, sometime Krishna. And the Aikya of Radha Krishna is a goal of this dance. So the idea of a pure dance not for audience, dance not for socialization, but the idea of a pure dance is like Natraj, like Tandu did dance. So it's a pure dance. Tandu didn't do it for the audience. It is like one's own self-realization. Dance is a means to one's own self-realization. Like a dance of Dervish dance. Dervish dance is the Turkish Sufi dance where they keep going around and round. They keep going. So in the Khud Mein Khudai, they sort of search. You keep going around, the senses are cut off, and then you're thinking, etc., your feelings are cut off, etc. If you keep doing that for, people do it for 8 hours, 10 hours also. And then you reach, it's a Sufi kind of, it's a pure dance. In fact, the idea of, in Europe, idea of pure dance came up because of First World War, where this Dervish dance, people got exposed to Dervish dance, especially this person called Laban. Nutrition for dance. He was, his father was stationed in First World War in Turkey, and he witnessed this dance. I mean, in Europe, you couldn't imagine how do you dance for yourself, not for audience, not for anything. Because there are belly dances, there are folk, so-called Hungarian folk dances. This is what dances were known at that time. What does it mean to dance for its own sake? I mean, our dance was dependent on music, dependent on drama, stories, poetry. There was nothing like dance for its own sake. So, whereas this Dervish dance was like dance for its own sake. And many of these students of Laban and friends of Laban, including big names of dancing, Maya Plisnos-Kaya, etc., big names, Tatis, etc., who got this idea of a pure dance. For dance to be there, it has to be dance for itself, where this Turkish dance was an example. Turkish dance is simple, it's a masculine dance. And or it could be feminine also, it's not in practice. And so the idea of passion dance is born in Europe. That I dance, my dance will express my being. This idea of modern dance is that. Modern dance is, whatever I feel, whatever I am, whatever I do, expresses that. Because the interiors of a European person, unlike the Turkish interiors, was Khudai. Because there was the idea of sublime unity of some kind. In Europe, you stop at passions, because that is visible. And so, idea of modern dance is born from there. Different from, these were the breakaways from belly dancers. They break away from there. and also this step dancing, other kind of technical forms of dance which are there, social dances. And even till today, like what will happen to Indian dancing here in India would be to adopt, to vary some tradition, for example, Bharatanatyam, etc., with the Passion dance. That will be modernization today. It means that something like free dance, Passion dance with free dance. Somehow, some element of free dance you introduce in your stage, etc., that becomes modern. That's the idea of modernization of dance today. So it's an important thing which happened in Europe, and also something today Passion dance has turned into duet dancing. In our tradition, we don't have duet. There's no two men and women dancing in our tradition. Nowhere. And this is very important, and this has come out of it's a product out of Passion dancing, etc., and two bodies going over each other, rolling on each other, etc. This kind of dance, which is very modern, YouTube, I think, young people are familiar with all these things. So these are very new things which happen in Europe. We don't have these things. We have dramas, we have many people dancing. In terms of pure dance, like Vaishnava and earlier Pushpati tradition, you may put a song of a langur, of a monkey, and go to a market and live like a monkey. This is pure dance. And people did that. You may also sort of, in Pashupati tradition, this is done. And in Rajasthan, very great dances. The one I had in my example. Very traditional dance, but all kind of dance of a waltz, dance of a deer. All this existing. We call them folk dances. They are song dances. These are Pashupati song dances of there. Maybe we can show this video sometimes later. You see that it looks so, it is Chinese. In Rajasthan, the Chinese dance is like that. Pashupati dance. It looks like Chinese dance is now borrowed from the ballet of Russian ballet. But they have elements of this swarm of animals in that. And there are in the pure dance, a very difficult problem is the problem of role switching between man and woman. And what does it mean to have danced copulation of men and women by a single person? Not two people will remain, if they are dancing duet, they will remain two people. There is no unity. It's like duality in a duet. But in the Vaishnava tradition, this is raised. What does it mean to transcend? In the sense that Chaitanya would say everybody is born with gender, but nobody dies with gender. When you're dying, gender is irrelevant. I mean, it may be relevant somewhere if there's a rebirth, etc., or something. But minimally. What does it mean to be transcendental in dance? It's a very serious theoretical and dance issue. These are the things which you tackle, and probably what we will talk about is after we see some 10 minutes of. Okay, this here show. Yeah, this is cross-dressing kind of thing in the Indian tradition, and these are Vaishnava things where. And of course, we have Modi as Mr. Knight was talking, that one of Shemen has a book called Chitta Vichar Charcha. It's a very theoretical book on the critique of Abhinav Gupta and this Rasa theory critique. So it brings